The night was calm. The sea outside Rion's small workshop moved in slow, gentle waves, and the wind carried the smell of salt. The moon shone bright, silver light spilling across the sand. Rion sat at his workbench, cleaning the gears of an old fishing boat's engine. He liked working late. The world was quieter, and the only sounds were the ticking of his tools and the distant calls of seabirds settling in for the night. Then it happened. A sudden shadow moved across the workshop's window, blotting out the moonlight. At first, Rion thought a storm cloud had drifted in, but when he stepped outside, he froze. The shadow was not a cloud dot high above. Something enormous moved against the stars, a shape so large it made the sky look small. It was silent at first, but then a deep, soft hum rolled across the air, like the sound of a giant heartbeat. The waves grew restless, pulling back and pushing forward as if the sea itself was nervous. Rion's eyes widened. He had seen ships before, fishing boats, freighters, even the occasional military craft, but this was nothing like them. This was not built by human hands. The object grew clearer as it descended. Its surface was smooth, silver gray, and curved like the shell of a giant sea creature. Bands of faint blue light ran along its sides, pulsing slowly, almost like breathing. There were no wings, no propellers, no visible engines, yet it hovered with ease. Rion's heart pounded. His first thought was to run back inside and hide. But his feet didn't move. Something about the ship was beautiful. It felt alive. The hum deepened, and a section on the ship's underside began to open. A ramp extended downward, touching the sand not far from the water's edge. Mist poured out from the opening, curling like smoke and glowing faintly in the moonlight. And then she appeared. A tall figure stepped out, her movements graceful and unhurried. Even from a distance, Rion could see she was unlike anyone he had ever met. Her skin carried soft patterns that shimmered like silver threads under the moon. Her long hair flowed behind her, dark with streaks of pale light running through it, like frozen strands of starlight. Her clothing was made of smooth layers that looked like they had grown naturally, not sewn. Her eyes were the most striking. They shone with a golden glow, not harsh, but warm, like sunlight touching water. She looked directly at Rion, and he felt as if she could see straight through him, past his face, past his thoughts, into something deeper. Rion swallowed. He wanted to ask who she was, why she was here, what this ship was, but no words came out. His mouth felt dry. She began walking toward him, each step light yet deliberate, as though the sand carried her forward. Rion glanced around. There was no one else on the beach, no one in the workshop, no noise from the town. It was just the two of them. When she reached him, she stopped only a few steps away. For a moment, she simply looked at him, as if studying every detail. Then, without warning, she stepped closer and wrapped her arms gently around him. Rion stiffened, unsure how to react. The embrace wasn't tight, but it was firm enough to feel real. Her presence was warm, and her scent reminded him of rain on dry earth. He had never met her before, yet something about this moment felt strangely familiar, like the memory of a dream he had forgotten. She leaned closer, her voice soft but clear. At last, she whispered, "I've found you, my human." Rion's thoughts spun. My human. What could that mean? He was certain he had never seen her in his life. Was this some kind of mistake? But her voice carried something more than simple words. There was relief in it, as if she had been searching for a very long time. There was also certainty, no doubt, no hesitation. She truly believed he was the one she had been looking for. When she stepped back, her golden eyes still held his gaze. "We have much to speak about," she said, "but not here. It is not safe." Rion glanced up at the sky. The ship above them seemed peaceful, but now that she had said it, he noticed small shapes moving far in the distance, dark, fast-moving shadows against the stars. "Who are you?" he finally managed to ask. The alien woman's lips curved in the faintest of smiles. "I am Avera," she said, "and you are far more important than you know." Before Rion could respond, she reached out and took his hand. Her touch was firm, but gentle, and in that brief moment, he felt a strange sensation, like a faint vibration running up his arm and into his chest. It was not painful, only, awakening. She led him toward the ramp of her ship. Rion hesitated for a second, looking back at his workshop, his tools, the small life he had always known. The world behind him felt suddenly smaller, as though it no longer fit around him. The ramp glowed faintly under their feet as they stepped onto it. The air was warmer inside the ship, and the hum was louder here, like the slow breathing of something vast. As the ramp began to rise, sealing off the beach from view, Rion had the sudden, clear thought that nothing in his life would ever be the same again, and though fear and confusion swirled inside him, one truth settled in his mind like an anchor. Whoever Avera was, and whatever she wanted, she had come across the stars just to find him. The ramp closed behind them with a low hiss, sealing the beach and the night outside. Inside, the air was warmer, with a faint scent that reminded Rion of fresh rain. The soft hum of the ship surrounded him, steady and calm, like the heartbeat of some enormous living thing. Rion's eyes darted around. The corridor they stood in curved gently, as if it had grown rather than been built. The walls glimmered faintly, a shifting silver that seemed to ripple when he moved his head. Thin lines of blue light traced along the floor, leading deeper into the vessel. Avera still held his hand, her touch light but steady, as though she feared he might run if she let go. She moved with a quiet grace, her steps silent despite the strange metal-like floor beneath them. "You're safe here," she said softly, though her eyes flicked toward the ceiling, as if listening for something far away. For now, Rion's thoughts were tangled. He had never left his town, never seen anything stranger than a cargo ship docking in the bay, and now he was inside an alien vessel with a woman who claimed she had been searching for him. Why me? The words slipped out before he could stop them. Avera paused, turning to face him. Her golden eyes seemed brighter here, their light reflecting off the curved walls. She studied his face for a moment, her expression calm but unreadable. Then she stepped closer. Before Rion could move back, she wrapped her arms around him once again. Not tightly, but with a quiet certainty, as if she knew he wouldn't resist this time. He felt her warmth through the strange fabric of her clothing. For some reason, the embrace made the world feel quieter, as though the hum of the ship faded into the background. Her voice came as a whisper, close to his ear. At last, she breathed, "I've found you, my human." The words were gentle, but they carried a weight that pressed into his mind. They didn't feel like a greeting. They felt like the end of a long journey. Rion swallowed hard. "I don't understand," he said. "You will," she replied, her voice low and even. "I have searched through many worlds, across dust and ice, light and shadow, always looking for the one who carries the echo." The echo? Avera stepped back slightly, but her hand still rested lightly on his arms. "Long ago, your kind and mine crossed paths. In the time of the Great Divide, one human, a man named Orin, stood with my people when no one else would. Without him, we would have fallen. His courage left a mark, not on stone, not on ships, but in life itself. That mark flows through your blood." Rion shook his head. "You think I'm him?" "No," she said simply. "You are not him, but you are his echo. You carry the same spark, the same thread, and that is why they will come for you." A faint chill ran down Rion's spine. "Who's they?" Avera's gaze shifted, and she looked toward the ceiling again. Her expression grew sharp, almost like a hunter sensing movement in the dark. "The Variks," she said. "They destroyed our outer colonies? They fear the echo because it can open what they cannot touch." "Open what?" Rion asked, his voice lower now. "The Star Core," she answered, and the way she spoke the name made it sound both dangerous and sacred. Before Rion could ask more, a soft chime echoed through the corridor, followed by a voice, speaking in a language he couldn't understand. Avera's golden eyes narrowed. "They're closer than I thought," she murmured. She took his hand again. "Come, we can speak when we are beyond their reach." She led him through the winding corridors. The ship's design was strange. There were no sharp corners, only smooth curves, and the walls seemed to shift in tone as they walked, like the ship knew where they were going. Occasionally, they passed other figures, tall, slender beings with skin in shades of gray or pale blue, dressed in the same grown-looking material as Avera. They bowed their heads slightly to her but glanced curiously at Rian. Finally, they entered a larger chamber, the ceiling arched high above, and in the center stood a round platform surrounded by a ring of shimmering light. The air here felt thicker, humming with quiet energy. Avera stepped onto the platform, guiding Rian beside her. "This will take us to the inner deck," she explained, the moment both of them stood inside the ring. The platform rose silently, lifting them upward without any cables or visible machinery. The chamber around them blurred, the blue lights stretching into thin lines until everything snapped back into focus. They stood now in a wide hall lined with windows that looked out into the stars. The view stole Rian's breath. The blackness of space stretched endlessly, filled with countless pinpricks of light. Below, the curve of his world was visible, wrapped in clouds and shadow. For a moment, he forgot to be afraid. Avera's voice pulled him back. "I know you feel lost, Rian, but you were always meant to stand between two worlds." "I fixed boat engines," Rian said quietly, almost to himself. She tilted her head, as if considering his words carefully. Even a quiet life can hide a storm inside. "The echo is not about what you have done. It is about what you can do." Her words hung in the air between them. Suddenly, the blue lights along the hall shifted to red. A low alarm pulsed through the ship. Out the windows, Rian saw distant shapes, sharp, jagged ships moving fast against the stars, their surfaces dark and uneven, like shards of broken stone. "The Variks," Avera said, her voice calm but firm. "They have found us." Rian stepped back instinctively. "What do they want from me?" "They don't just want you," she said, her eyes fixed on the approaching ships. "They want what you can awaken." Her hand brushed his shoulder, a brief, steadying touch. "Stay close to me, Rian. Whatever happens, do not let go." As the alien ships drew nearer, the hum of Avera's vessel grew louder, vibrating through the floor. Somewhere deep in the ship, Rian felt a strange pull in his chest, as if something inside him was answering that hum, and though fear twisted in his stomach, a thought whispered at the edge of his mind, the same thought he had when he first saw her on the beach. She had crossed the stars to find him. And now, someone else had too. The ramp closed behind them with a low hiss, sealing the beach and the night outside. Inside, the air was warmer, with a faint scent that reminded Rian of fresh rain. The soft hum of the ship surrounded him, steady and calm, like the heartbeat of some enormous living thing. Rian's eyes darted around. The corridor they stood in curved gently, as if it had grown rather than been built. The walls glimmered faintly, a shifting silver that seemed to ripple when he moved his head. Thin lines of blue light traced along the floor, leading deeper into the vessel. Avera still held his hand, her touch light but steady, as though she feared he might run if she let go. She moved with a quiet grace, her steps silent despite the strange metal-like floor beneath them. "You're safe here," she said softly, though her eyes flicked toward the ceiling, as if listening for something far away. For now, Rian's thoughts were tangled. He had never left his town, never seen anything stranger than a cargo ship docking in the bay, and now he was inside an alien vessel with a woman who claimed she had been searching for him. "Why me?" The words slipped out before he could stop them. Avera paused, turning to face him. Her golden eyes seemed brighter here, their light reflecting off the curved walls. She studied his face for a moment, her expression calm but unreadable. Then she stepped closer. Before Rian could move back, she wrapped her arms around him once again. Not tightly, but with a quiet certainty, as if she knew he wouldn't resist this time. He felt her warmth through the strange fabric of her clothing. For some reason, the embrace made the world feel quieter, as though the hum of the ship faded into the background. Her voice came as a whisper, close to his ear. At last, she breathed, "I've found you, my human." The words were gentle, but they carried a weight that pressed into his mind. They didn't feel like a greeting. They felt like the end of a long journey. Rian swallowed hard. "I don't understand," he said. "You will," she replied, her voice low and even. I have searched through many worlds, across dust and ice, light and shadow, always looking for the one who carries the echo. The echo? Avera stepped back slightly, but her hand still rested lightly on his arms. Long ago, your kind and mine crossed paths. In the time of the Great Divide, one human, a man named Orin, stood with my people when no one else would. Without him, we would have fallen. His courage left a mark, not on stone, not on ships, but in life itself. That mark flows through your blood. Rian shook his head. You think I'm him? No, she said simply. You are not him, but you are his echo. You carry the same spark, the same thread, and that is why they will come for you. A faint chill ran down Rian's spine. Who's they? Avera's gaze shifted, and she looked toward the ceiling again. Her expression grew sharp, almost like a hunter sensing movement in the dark. The Variks, she said. They destroyed our outer colonies? They fear the echo because it can open what they cannot touch. Open what? Rian asked, his voice lower now. The Star Core, she answered. And the way she spoke the name made it sound both dangerous and sacred. Before Rian could ask more, a soft chime echoed through the corridor, followed by a voice, speaking in a language he couldn't understand. Avera's golden eyes narrowed. They're closer than I thought, she murmured. She took his hand again. Come, we can speak when we are beyond their reach. She led him through the winding corridors. The ship's design was strange. There were no sharp corners, only smooth curves, and the walls seemed to shift in tone as they walked, like the ship knew where they were going. Occasionally, they passed other figures, tall, slender beings with skin in shades of gray or pale blue, dressed in the same grown-looking material as Avera. They bowed their heads slightly to her but glanced curiously at Rian. Finally, they entered a larger chamber, the ceiling arched high above, and in the center stood a round platform surrounded by a ring of shimmering light. The air here felt thicker, humming with quiet energy. Avera stepped onto the platform, guiding Rian beside her. This will take us to the inner deck, she explained, the moment both of them stood inside the ring. The platform rose silently, lifting them upward without any cables or visible machinery. The chamber around them blurred, the blue lights stretching into thin lines until everything snapped back into focus. They stood now in a wide hall lined with windows that looked out into the stars. The view stole Rian's breath. The blackness of space stretched endlessly, filled with countless pinpricks of light. Below, the curve of his world was visible, wrapped in clouds and shadow. For a moment, he forgot to be afraid. Avera's voice pulled him back. I know you feel lost, Rian, but you were always meant to stand between two worlds. I fixed boat engines, Rian said quietly, almost to himself. She tilted her head, as if considering his words carefully. Even a quiet life can hide a storm inside. The echo is not about what you have done. It is about what you can do. Her words hung in the air between them. Suddenly, the blue lights along the hall shifted to red. A low alarm pulsed through the ship. Out the windows, Rian saw distant shapes, sharp, jagged ships moving fast against the stars. Their surfaces dark and uneven, like shards of broken stone. The Variks, Avera said, her voice calm but firm. They have found us. Rian stepped back instinctively. What do they want from me? They don't just want you, she said, her eyes fixed on the approaching ships. They want what you can awaken. Her hand brushed his shoulder, a brief, steadying touch. Stay close to me, Rian. Whatever happens, do not let go. As the alien ships drew nearer, the hum of Avera's vessel grew louder, vibrating through the floor. Somewhere deep in the ship, Rian felt a strange pull in his chest, as if something inside him was answering that hum, and though fear twisted in his stomach, a thought whispered at the edge of his mind, the same thought he had when he first saw her on the beach. She had crossed the stars to find him. And now, someone else had too. The red lights continued to flash along the walls, each pulse time with the deep, steady hum of the ship's core. Rian stood near one of the long windows, his eyes fixed on the dark shapes moving in space. The Variks ships were closer now, sharp-edged, uneven vessels that looked like they had been carved from black stone. Their movements were fast and deliberate, like predators closing in on prey. Avera stepped up beside him, her golden eyes calm but alert. They will try to disable our engines first, she said quietly. They will not risk destroying the ship until they have you. Rian turned toward her, his voice uneasy. You keep saying they want me. Why? What can I possibly have that they need? Avera studied him for a moment before answering. Not what you have. What you are, Rian frowned. That doesn't make sense. She gestured for him to follow her. Come. There is something you must see. They moved quickly through the curved corridors, passing crew members who were calmly but efficiently preparing for battle. Some adjusted strange glowing panels, others carried slim devices that pulsed with faint light. All of them stepped aside for Avera, giving her small nods of respect. At last, they reached a wide door that opened with a soft hiss. Inside was a circular room filled with gentle blue light. In the center stood a column of glass-like material, inside which floated a slow-turning sphere of silver and gold. Faint streams of light flowed from it like mist. Rian stopped in the doorway. What is that? Avera walked to the column, her hand hovering just above the glass. This is the memory spire, she said. It holds the recorded truth of our history. She glanced back at him. And part of your own. Rian's brow furrowed. My history? She nodded toward the sphere. Come closer. Rian stepped forward, the soft blue light washing over him. The air here felt different, heavier somehow, filled with a quiet presence. Avera touched the base of the column, and the sphere's light brightened. Images began to form in the air above it, shapes of tall, slender beings like her, standing in great halls of silver and white. Then came images of dark, jagged ships, the same kind Rian had seen outside. Battles filled the sky. One image drew Rian's attention more than the rest. It showed a human, a man with dark hair and a determined gaze, standing beside an alien queen who looked much like Avera, though her markings were different. Together, they faced a group of Varric's warriors. That's Rian started. But, stop! The man felt strangely familiar, though Rian knew he had never seen him before. Orin. Avera said, her voice softer now. The human who saved my people in the time of the Great Divide. The image shifted, showing Orin standing before a strange, glowing structure, a massive, crystalline form with light streaming from its heart. His hands were pressed against it, and the light seemed to flow into him. This, Avera continued, is the star core, a living relic older than both our kinds. It holds the power to open gates between worlds, but only to those it accepts. It accepted Orin. The image changed again, showing Orin leading Avera's people through a shimmering gate as Varric's ships burned in the distance. Then it faded, leaving only the slow-turning sphere in the column. Rian stood silently for a moment, his thoughts heavy. You think, I can do what he did? Avera stepped closer. Not think, no. The star core responds to a pattern, a resonance. It is not just blood, Rian. It is the echo of will. Orin's spark lives on, and I have found it in you. Rian shook his head. I'm not a hero. I fix engines and patch holes. I've never even left my planet until now. Her gaze softened. Neither had Orin, before the day came when he had to choose. Before Rian could answer, a sharp tremor ran through the floor. Somewhere deep in the ship, metal groaned. The light shifted from blue to a more urgent shade of white. A voice spoke over a calm but firm tone in the alien language. Avera's eyes narrowed. They've hit our outer shields. Rian's stomach tightened. We should, I don't know, hide. Her lips curved faintly, though her voice stayed steady. There is no hiding from the Varric's. Rian, but we can outrun them if we reach the star path before they breach the second layer. Another tremor shook the floor. This one was stronger. Rian grabbed the side of the column to keep his balance. And if we don't? She met his gaze without hesitation. Then they will take you, and they will use you to open the star core. But not for life, Rian. For conquest. The weight of her words sank deep. He didn't fully understand the star core or why it mattered so much. But he understood one thing. If the Varric's wanted it, it couldn't be good for anyone. Avera. placed a hand on his shoulder. I know you are afraid, but you must trust me. There's more inside you than you realize. He wanted to argue, to say she was wrong, but something in her voice kept him silent. The ship lurched again, this time followed by a loud crack from somewhere above. The lights flickered, and a faint alarm began to sound. Avera turned sharply toward the door. Come, we go to the inner bridge. Rion followed her out of the chamber, casting one last glance at the memory spire. The image of Orin lingered in his mind, the determined eyes. The hands pressed against the glowing structure, the calm in the face of danger as they moved quickly through the halls. Rion couldn't help but wonder if Orin had felt the same disbelief he felt now. The same thought that whispered at the edge of his mind, I'm not ready for this yet. Ready or not, the Variks were coming, and if Avera was right, they weren't coming for her. They were coming for him. After escaping the Variks' attack, the ship settled into a quiet rhythm. The hum of the engines was now steady, almost gentle, and the corridors no longer shook from distant impacts. Rion walked beside Avera, still trying to process everything he had seen. His heart had not yet returned to normal, and his hands occasionally trembled as he reached out to steady himself along the smooth walls. Where are we going? He asked. His voice echoed softly against the curved walls. To the inner sanctum, Avera replied. Her golden eyes were calm, but there was a fire of determination behind them. You need to see it for yourself. The star core cannot be explained in words alone. You must feel it, understand it. Rion nodded, though he did not fully understand. The idea of feeling a mysterious, alien power both terrified and intrigued him. The corridor stretched ahead, glowing softly in shifting blues and silvers. It felt alive. Every surface seemed to pulse with a quiet rhythm, almost like the heartbeat of the ship itself. As they moved, Rion noticed small details he had not seen before. The walls rippled faintly as if breathing. Faint streaks of light moved like liquid through the panels, and tiny shapes, almost like glowing insects, darted along the edges of the floors and ceilings. The ship was not just a vessel, it was alive. Avera glanced at him. You feel it too, don't you? Yes, Rion admitted. It's strange, like the ship is speaking. That is because it is. Avera said softly, this ship is alive, and it knows you. The resonance responds to the echo inside you. That is why you were able to guide it through the Variks' attack. Rion swallowed. So, I am like Orin? Avera's lips curved faintly. In some ways. But Orin did not have what you do. You carry the echo. Yes, but there is more. The bond between you and the star core is deeper than mere ancestry. It is connection. Rion glanced at her, confused. Connection? You will understand soon enough, she said. But first, you must see the visions. Only then will the path ahead be clear. They reached a chamber that seemed larger than any room Rion had seen so far. The walls curved upward into an arch that disappeared into shadow, and the floor glowed softly in concentric circles. At the center stood a raised platform, empty except for a faint shimmer hovering above it. This is the visage chamber, Avera said. It shows what is hidden inside you, memories, potential, the threads of your past that are tied to the echo. Rion's stomach tightened. He had no memories of anything beyond his own simple life, yet the hum in his chest now felt urgent, insistent. Avera stepped beside him and gestured toward the shimmer. Step forward. Do not fear it. Rion hesitated, then slowly moved onto the platform. The moment his feet touched the glowing surface, a pulse of light ran through him. His vision blurred, and suddenly the chamber vanished. He was no longer standing on the platform. He was in a place of swirling light and shadow, a realm that felt neither real nor imagined. Images formed before him. First, he saw a young human, not himself, yet somehow familiar, walking through a battlefield. Beside beings like Avera, he recognized the scene instantly from the memory spire. Orin, the human who had once saved Avera's people. The battles were chaotic, filled with flashes of light and movement. Yet Orin moved with calm determination. Then the images shifted. He saw himself, though in strange, fragmented ways, fixing a boat engine, walking along the beach, feeling a pull toward the stars. It was as if the echo inside him reached back, connecting his present life to something far larger, far older. Rian stumbled, nearly falling, but Avera's hand was there instantly, steadying him. "Let it flow," she said softly. "Do not resist." He took a deep breath and allowed the visions to continue. Scenes of distant worlds flashed before him, oceans of liquid silver, forests that glowed faintly under twin moons, cities of metal and light that hummed like the ship itself. He felt emotions that were not his own: hope, fear, courage, grief, all woven together into a tapestry that seemed to call to something deep inside him. "This is too much," Rian whispered. "I don't understand it. You do." "In your own way," Avera replied. "The resonance does not require understanding, only acceptance. You feel it because it is part of you. It is why you survived the Varix, why the ship obeyed your instinct. You are ready for the next step." Next, a new vision appeared. He was standing before the star core itself, a massive, crystalline structure that pulsed with silver and gold light. The energy it emitted was so strong that he could feel it vibrating through his bones. The vision shifted, and he saw himself touching the core, feeling a connection, a flow of energy that both terrified and thrilled him. "It wants you," he whispered. "Yes," Avera said, her voice barely above the hum of the chamber. "It knows you, but it also tests you. You must be willing to embrace the bond fully, or it will not awaken for you." Rian's mind swirled with questions, doubts, and fear. Could he do it? Was he really capable of wielding such power? He had been a simple man on a small planet, a mechanic who fixed engines and patched hulls. Could he really stand in the place of Orin, connect with a power older than the stars, and face the Varix again? Avera's hand on his shoulder grounded him. "Do not think too much," she said gently. "The echo is not about thought. It is about trust. Trust in yourself and the resonance, and in what is coming." He nodded slowly. Something deep inside him responded, a vibration that matched the hum of the ship, the pulse of the platform, and the call of the star core in his visions. Fear still existed, but it was now balanced with a quiet certainty. He could feel his life changing, expanding beyond the limits of his small world. The vision slowly faded, and Rian found himself back on the platform in the chamber. The shimmer above him dimmed, leaving only the gentle glow of the floor. "You are ready to see the star core," Avera said. Her golden eyes were bright, full of warmth and encouragement. "But the journey there will not be easy. The Varix are still chasing us, and the core will not reveal itself to those unprepared." Rian took a deep breath. "I think I understand now. I can feel it, the connection." "Good," she said. "We will travel to the core together. Step by step, you will learn to awaken it. And when the time comes, you will have to trust not only yourself but the bond between us." He looked at her, understanding at last that their fates were now intertwined. The echoes of the past, the power of the star core, and the danger of the Varix were all part of something larger, a journey he could not walk alone. Together, they left the visage chamber, the glow of the ship guiding their way. The hum that had been faint before now seemed to pulse in rhythm with his own heartbeat. Rian felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. For the first time in his life, he sensed the enormity of the universe and his own place within it, and as they moved deeper into the living ship, he realized one thing with certainty: his journey had only just begun. The corridors of the ship were quieter now, the red emergency lights having faded to a steady, soft blue. Rian walked beside Avera, feeling the rhythm of the living vessel beneath his feet. Every pulse, every hum seemed to call to him, guiding him closer to something far greater than himself. Ahead, a vast chamber stretched into the distance. The walls curved like the inside of a giant shell, and faint streams of golden and silver light moved like liquid through them. In the center of the room hovered a structure so massive it took Rian's breath away, the star core. It was crystalline, translucent, and alive. Light flowed through it in pulsing waves, shifting colors like liquid fire. Energy vibrated in the air, brushing against Rian's skin as though the core itself was aware of his presence. Every step toward it made his chest tighten with a mixture of fear and awe. This is it, Avera said softly, her voice almost drowned out by the gentle roar of energy around them. The star core waits for you. Rion's mind spun. He had felt echoes before, visions that pulled at him like threads of a dream, but this was different. The core's presence was undeniable, almost tangible. He could feel it inside himself, calling to him, whispering in a language his mind could barely understand. What do I do? He asked, his voice shaking slightly. You must place your hands on it, Avera explained. The core will respond only to the echo. You carry Orin's spark, but you also carry your own. It will test you, Rion, and it will ask for trust. Only then can it awaken. Rion took a deep breath. His fingers trembled as he reached forward. The moment his hands touched the surface of the star core, a pulse of energy shot through him. He stumbled, but Avera's hand steadied him. The energy surged up his arms, filling his chest. His mind, his very being. Light raced along his veins, and suddenly, he was no longer standing in the chamber. He was in a place of pure light, surrounded by visions of the past, present, and possible futures. He saw Orin again, the human who had first bonded with the core centuries ago. Orin's face was calm, determined, filled with courage. Rion saw the battles, the triumphs, and the choices Orin had made. Then the vision shifted. They were his own, showing paths he could take, victories he might earn, failures he might endure. Focus, Avera's voice called softly, though her form was faint in this place of light. The core will test your resolve. Do not waver. A sudden wave of fear washed over Rion. He felt the pull of the core. Immense power and responsibility, far beyond anything he had known. The Variks were still out there, waiting to destroy him and claim this power. Every instinct screamed. To run, to turn back to safety, to leave this place. And then he heard it, the hum. Not the ship's hum, not the vibrations of the core itself, but his own echo. It was calm, steady. A voice within him reminding him of who he was, who he could become. Rion closed his eyes. He thought of the quiet life he had lived on his small planet, of the moments he had never expected to matter, of the dreams he had never dared to speak aloud. And he thought of Avera, who had crossed the stars to find him, who had believed in something inside him he did not yet fully understand. The core pulsed again, responding to his thoughts. A pathway of golden light extended from it, inviting him to step forward fully. Hesitation threatened, but Rion steadied his breath and moved. The moment he immersed himself in the light, a voice echoed in his mind, the star core itself, ancient and vast. It asked not in words, but in feeling. Will you bind yourself to the echo? Will you trust yourself and the path that is before you? Rion's heart raced. The choice was clear. He could step back, refuse, remain human in the simple life he had always known. Or he could step forward, embrace the echo, and bind himself to the star core, becoming part of something larger than his world, larger than his understanding. His mind flashed with images of the Variks, the danger they represented, and the lives that could be lost if he chose safety over action. And then he thought of the pull inside him, the resonance, the bond that was already forming between him and the core. He took a deep breath. I trust it, he whispered. The star core pulsed. Brighter, light flooding through him, through the chamber, through the ship. Energy spiraled along his arms, legs, and chest, filling every part of him with warmth and clarity. His mind expanded, understanding and seeing in ways he had never thought possible. He could feel the ship around him, the threads of the core, and even the distant Variks ships in space. Avera stepped closer. Good, she said, her golden eyes shining. The bond is forming. You are stronger than you realize. Rion felt a strange merging of thought and feeling. The core was alive, yes, but it was also him now, and he was it. The energy did not consume him. It embraced him, guided him, allowed him to see possibilities beyond fear. Rion, Avera whispered, you must choose one final thing. The bond is not only with the core, it is with me. To wield this powerfully, to protect your world and ours, you must bind your life to mine. Sharing thoughts, emotions, and purpose, Ryun froze. The connection with the core was overwhelming. But this, a bond with Avera herself, it was personal. Intimate, permanent. Fear surged again. But beneath it was something else. A trust that had grown since the first night she had found him. He looked at her, seeing not only the alien queen but the being who had guided him, believed in him, and crossed the stars to find him. He saw courage, wisdom, and the quiet strength she had shown in the battles they had already faced together. He exhaled slowly. "I might trust you," he said, the moment the words left his lips. The star core's light surged higher, golden and silver threads weaving through Ryun and Avera alike. Energy wrapped around them, connecting them, merging their thoughts and feelings into a single rhythm. Ryun felt everything. Avera's memories, hopes, fears, and determination. She felt his courage, his doubts, and the spark of heroism he had never known he possessed. When the light dimmed, the chamber was quiet once more. Ryun and Avera stood together, hands still touching the star core. But now, they were joined in a bond far deeper than either had anticipated. They were partners, connected in ways that went beyond understanding, ready to face whatever came next. Avera looked at him, her golden eyes softening. "You are not just my human," she said. "You are my equal. Together, we will protect the core, our worlds, and all those who cannot defend themselves." Ryun nodded, finally feeling the weight of what he had chosen. Fear was still there, but it was tempered by certainty, courage, and the strength of the bond he now shared with Avera. In the star core itself, outside the chamber, the ship hummed in approval. Ryun could feel the resonance pulsing in every corridor, reaching even to the distant corners of space. The Variks might still be out there, but for the first time, he no longer felt powerless. He had chosen. He had trusted Dot, and the universe had answered. The ship hummed with a deep, resonant energy, as if every part of it knew that a final challenge was near. Ryun stood beside Avera on the inner bridge, their hands brushing slightly, a silent confirmation of the bond they had formed at the star core. The pulse of the resonance thrummed in his chest, steady and strong, filling him with courage he had never known. Outside the viewing arc, the Variks ships reappeared, far larger than before. Their jagged hulls reflected starlight and harsh, broken lines. They had regrouped, now 5 times stronger and faster than the initial attack. The green glow along their edges pulsed ominously, a warning of the threat they carried. "They've come for you again," Avera said, her voice calm but filled with focus. "And this time, they will not stop." Ryun nodded. He no longer felt helpless. The bond with Avera and the star core gave him clarity. He could feel the flow of energy in the ship, the potential in the core, and the way the Variks moved in space. He no longer needed fear to guide him. He had understanding. Avera's eyes met his. "Are you ready?" "I am," Ryun said, the words firm. "I trust the bond." The Variks ships surged forward, firing long streams of green energy. The first blast struck the outer shields of Avera's ship, sending ripples through the floors and walls. Alarms blared, and the crew braced themselves. But Ryun felt something new, the resonance of the star core inside him, flowing through the ship and into every system. He raised his hands instinctively. Light surged from him, bright and golden, connecting with the energy lines in the ship. Panels along the walls responded, glowing brighter, rearranging themselves as if the ship itself answered his call. The first Variks vessel faltered as the energy pulse struck it directly. Its jagged edges began to crack under the force, and it spun away, partially disabled. "They can't withstand the core's energy when it flows through a human," Avera said, a small smile breaking her usual calm. "You're the bridge, Ryun." He focused, feeling the star core's power more clearly than ever. It was not just energy. It was thought, emotion, and will intertwine. He could sense the Variks fleet as one entity, their movements predictable in their aggression. He guided the ship with precision, moving through space like a predator dancing around its prey. The Variks fired again, a concentrated barrage aimed directly at them. Ryun extended his hands, channeling the core's resonance. Waves of golden light shot outward, forming a protective shield that absorbed the attacks and redirected the energy back toward the nearest Varric's ship. The Jag vessel twisted violently under the force, its hull breaking apart in shards of black metal that drifted silently into space. The remaining Varrics hesitated, recalculating their approach. Rian felt a thrill of power, but Avera's voice kept him grounded. Do not let anger control you, she said. The bond is strength, not force, trust, focus, and purpose. Rian closed his eyes for a moment, letting the bond guide him. He felt Avera's presence beside him, her thoughts and resolve intertwined with his own. Together, they moved as one, guiding the ship through precise maneuvers and counterattacks. Each pulse of energy from the core struck the enemy, each movement of the ship avoided destruction, and each heartbeat of the resonance strengthened the bond between him and Avera. One Varric's ship surged forward, attempting to ram them. Rian extended the resonance outward in a spiral, forming a dome of light that pushed the vessel away with a force that was gentle but unyielding. It spun harmlessly into the void, leaving only a trail of shattered metal. They can't touch us, Avera said softly. Not now. But the largest Varric's ship remained, the command vessel. Its hull was black and jagged, larger than any of the others. It pulsed with a dark green light, almost alive, and it advanced with purpose, directing the smaller ships around it. Rian's chest tightened. He could feel the core's pulse in response. It was aware of the threat, feeding him guidance. He extended his hands again, and golden threads of energy flowed from him into the ship's systems, strengthening shields, firing concentrated beams, and weaving a path of light through the darkness of space. The command vessel's green glow flickered under the attack, but it did not fall. Instead, it launched a massive energy blast aimed directly at the core. The ship shook violently. Rian staggered but kept his focus, the bond guiding him. Now, Avera whispered, focus everything you have. Merge fully with the core. Trust yourself. Trust me. Rian closed his eyes, feeling the resonance flood through him completely. He was no longer just a human, and the core was no longer just a structure in the ship. He was connected, body and mind, to the star core and to Avera. Energy poured from him in waves of golden light, streaming outward in a perfect beam that struck the command vessel directly. The impact shattered its hull. Fragments of jagged metal exploded into the void, and the green glow vanished. The remaining Varric's ships scattered, retreating at incredible speed, leaving nothing but silence and stars behind. Rian sank to his knees, exhausted but alive. The core's pulse slowed, gentle and steady again, as if acknowledging his success. Avera stepped beside him, her hand resting on his shoulder. You did it, she said softly. You trusted the echo. You trusted yourself. And together, we have defeated them. Rian looked at her, awe and relief mixing in his chest. We really did it? Yes, she said, a smile touching her lips. The star core is safe. The Varric's are gone, at least for now. And we are stronger together. The bond has been formed. He realized then that the fear and doubt that had haunted him for so long had been replaced by a quiet certainty. He had grown beyond the life he had known, embraced a destiny he could not have imagined, and formed a partnership that was unbreakable. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, serene and bright. The ship's living walls pulsed softly, a reminder that life, light, and connection were more powerful than fear and destruction. Rian could feel the bond not only with Avera and the core, but with the universe itself, a connection that gave him courage and hope. Avera's hand lingered over his. The journey is not over, she said, but now we face it together. The star core will guide us, the bond will strengthen us, and we will protect what must be protected. Rian nodded, finally understanding the depth of what they had accomplished. I trust it, and I trust you. Her golden eyes shone, and that trust will light the path forward. As the ship glided silently through space, the pulse of the star core, the hum of the living vessel, and the bond between Rian and Avera formed a single, unbroken rhythm. Together, they were ready for whatever the universe would send next. And for the first time, Rion felt the full measure of his place in the stars, not as a simple human mechanic, but as a guardian of the core, a partner to an alien queen, and a hero of a story far greater than he had ever imagined. The universe was vast, the dangers many, but with the bond formed, he knew one truth. They would face everything together, unstoppable, unbroken, and united.